The NFL sells dreams, million-dollar contracts, Super Bowl rings, and a legacy that lasts forever. But here's the brutal truth they don't want you to know. For every fairy tale ending, there are careers that crashed and burned so spectacularly that the league pretends they never happened. We're talking about players who went from Pro Bowl stardom to absolute rock bottom. Guys who had everything and lost it all in the most devastating ways possible. These aren't just injuries or bad seasons. These are complete meltdowns that destroyed legacies, shattered lives, and left fans wondering what the hell went wrong. Today I'm exposing every single one of these disasters. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why some NFL careers don't just end. They explode. From Hall of Fame talents who threw it all away to superstars who couldn't handle success, these are the players whose terrible endings prove that in the NFL, how you finish matters more than how you start. Let's start with a guy who had everything: talent, fame, and a Super Bowl ring, but managed to destroy it all with one of the most spectacular falls from grace in sports history. Aaron Hernandez. From Super Bowl champion to convicted murderer, Aaron Hernandez was living the dream. The New England Patriots tight end had just signed a $40 million contract extension. But behind the success, Hernandez was living a double life. While catching touchdowns on Sunday, he was allegedly involved in shootings, drug deals, and gang activity the rest of the week. The Patriots had no idea they were paying millions to someone running a criminal enterprise. Everything crashed down on June 26, 2013, when police arrested Hernandez for the murder of Odin Lloyd. The evidence was overwhelming. Surveillance footage, text messages, and physical evidence all pointed to Hernandez as the killer. The Patriots released him within hours, voiding his entire contract. His NFL career was over at 23. In 2015, he was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. On April 19, 2017, guards found Hernandez dead in his cell, having hanged himself with a bedsheet. He was 27 years old. From Super Bowl champion to convicted murderer to suicide victim, it's impossible to imagine a worse ending to an NFL career. But sometimes careers don't end with crime. They end with players who simply couldn't handle the pressure and made decisions that destroyed everything they'd worked for. Johnny Manziel. From Heisman winner to complete bust, Johnny Football was supposed to be the future of the NFL. The Heisman Trophy winner had the arm, mobility, and swagger that made him must-see television. When Cleveland drafted him 22nd overall in 2014, fans thought they were getting their franchise quarterback. Instead, they got a cautionary tale about talent meeting immaturity. Manziel was more interested in partying than preparing, more focused on celebrity status than studying film. He was caught partying in Vegas while supposed to be rehabbing an injury. When he finally got his chance to start, he looked completely lost, throwing for just 1,675 yards and 7 touchdowns in 2 seasons. Off the field, things were worse. Arrested for domestic violence, struggling with alcohol and substance abuse, and reportedly diagnosed with bipolar disorder. The Browns released him after just 2 seasons. Manziel went from being one of the most famous college players in history to being out of the NFL at 23. He had all the physical tools to succeed, but none of the mental discipline, and it cost him everything. Then there are players whose careers ended because they couldn't stay away from trouble, no matter how many chances they got. Josh Gordon, the most talented player who couldn't stop getting suspended. Josh Gordon might be the most frustrating player in NFL history, a receiver with Hall of Fame talent who couldn't stop sabotaging himself. In 2013, despite missing 2 games due to suspension, he led the NFL with 1,646 receiving yards. But Gordon's career became a never-ending cycle of suspensions for violating the league's substance abuse policy. The suspensions kept getting longer: 2 games, then 4, then 8, then an entire season. Gordon missed more games due to suspension than most players missed due to injury in their entire careers. What made it frustrating was that Gordon was clearly struggling with addiction, not just making bad choices. He entered rehab multiple times, but every time he got close to sustained success, he would relapse and face another suspension. His career effectively ended in 2019 when the NFL suspended him indefinitely. He was just 28 and should have been in his prime. Gordon had the talent to be one of the greatest receivers in NFL history, but his career will be remembered for what could have been. But not all terrible endings involve off-field issues. Sometimes careers end because players make catastrophic decisions during the biggest moments of their lives. Malcolm Butler, from Super Bowl hero to benched in the biggest game. Malcolm Butler had one of the most bizarre endings in NFL history. The undrafted cornerback had become a Patriots legend by making the game-saving interception in Super Bowl 49 against Seattle. But in Super Bowl 52 against Philadelphia, Patriots coach Bill Belichick decided to bench Butler for the entire game, playing him for just one snap. The reason was never explained. Belichick cited a coaching decision, but refused to elaborate. The decision was a disaster. The Patriots' defense got torched, giving up 538 yards and 41 points in a 41-33 loss. Butler watched helplessly as Philadelphia receivers ran free all night. After the game, Butler was emotional, saying he didn't know why he was benched. Butler's career didn't end because of injury or poor play. It ended because his coach made a decision that nobody understood. He went from Super Bowl hero to Super Bowl scapegoat, and his legacy will always be tied to that inexplicable benching. Sometimes the most talented players see their careers end because their bodies simply couldn't hold up to the punishment. Andrew Luck, the generational talent who walked away. Andrew Luck was supposed to be the next Peyton Manning. The Stanford quarterback was the most hyped prospect in years, with the arm strength, intelligence, and leadership to carry a franchise for 15 years. But the hits kept coming, and Luck's body started breaking down. He suffered a lacerated kidney, concussion, torn labrum, and multiple other injuries. The Colts' offensive line was terrible, leaving Luck exposed to constant punishment. The shoulder injury was the beginning of the end. Luck missed the entire 2017 season, and when he returned, the constant pain and rehab had taken a toll on his mental health. On August 24, 2019, Luck shocked the world by announcing his retirement at age 29. The constant cycle of injury and rehab had worn him down, and he decided his health was more important than football. Colts fans actually booed him as he walked off the field for the final time. Then there are players whose careers ended because they made one catastrophic mistake that overshadowed everything else. Ray Rice, from Pro Bowl, running back to domestic violence pariah. Ray Rice was one of the NFL's most respected players, a three-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champion, and community leader. But on February 15, 2014, everything changed when he was arrested for assaulting his fiancée in an Atlantic City casino elevator. Initially, Rice received a light 2-game suspension, but then the elevator video surfaced, showing Rice punching his fiancée in the face and dragging her unconscious body out of the elevator. The reaction was swift and brutal. The Ravens immediately released Rice. The NFL suspended him indefinitely, and sponsors dropped him. His career was over at age 27. Rice never played another down, and his legacy will forever be defined by that elevator video. Finally, there are players whose careers ended because they simply couldn't handle success. Plaxico Burress, the Super Bowl hero who shot himself. Plaxico Burress was on top of the world after catching the game-winning touchdown in Super Bowl 42 against the undefeated Patriots. But less than a year later, he made one of the most inexplicable decisions in NFL history. On November 28, 2008, Burress went to a Manhattan nightclub carrying an unlicensed gun in his sweatpants. The gun accidentally discharged, shooting Burress in the right thigh. He was charged with criminal possession of a weapon and sentenced to 2 years in prison. Burress missed 2 full seasons while incarcerated, and when released, he was 34 and had lost his speed and timing. One night of poor judgment cost him everything, turning a Super Bowl hero into a cautionary tale. The NFL promises glory, but these stories prove that careers can end in the most devastating ways possible. From criminal behavior to addiction, from inexplicable coaching decisions to self-inflicted wounds, these players remind us that talent alone isn't enough to guarantee a happy ending. The NFL sells dreams of Super Bowl rings and Canton busts, but sometimes the most memorable careers are the ones that crashed and burned in spectacular fashion. If you enjoyed watching these career disasters get exposed, hit that like button, drop a comment about which terrible ending shocked you the most, and subscribe, because unlike these players, we're just getting started and won't be shooting ourselves in the foot.